Jai was an ugly poor child, who was believed to be cursed with the stone god blessing and his destiny that could destroy the world. He accidentally caused his mother's death at birth. Throughout his life, the other children bullied him severely, and even his father regretted having him, thinking he was a demon. Just when the kids were about to kill him, his supernatural powers surfaced and inadvertently killed them. The villagers then saw him as a dangerous monster and banished him from the village, chaining him to a rock where he survived by eating whatever he could find, including even it's a dog shit. However, one day, he met the most beautiful girl who was the first person in 3,000 years to give him food and talk with him nicely. But as she started to leave, she asked him to keep their interaction a secret. Overwhelmed by emotion, Jay cried because this was the first time someone had shown him kindness since he was born. In the following months, the girl, named Corey, learned how to cook various meals for him and became his only friend. She brought warmth and hope into his life, which he cherished deeply. As the years went by, Jay's body grew stronger and began to overcome the curse. However, a severe drought caused a famine in the village, and the elders blamed Jay, believing he was draining the soil's life. They vowed to kill him, but Corey defended him, insisting he wasn't a monster. In their rage, the elders attacked both Corey and Jay. During the assault, a witch from the crowd fatally stabbed Corey. Seeing the girl he loved dead, Jay's grief unleashed the immense power within him. He broke free from his chains and, in his fury, killed the woman who murdered Corey with the same boulder that had restrained him. His powers were so great that he inadvertently destroyed the entire village, but none of this could bring Corey back. Mourning her death, Jay placed a flower that had grown on his arm next to her, and the blood from the villagers turned into a field of red flowers. 4 billion years in the future, Jai was reborn as ugly, lonely life than before. He ended up with abusive parents and eventually used his powers to kill them, squandering all their money on gambling. He struggled socially, and also he remained a victim because he was busy doing math all day. Living in a home that smelled as the shocks of your shoes, he tried to survive by cooking ramen. But then, a rift in space-time opened, and a hot naked goddess appeared in front of his eyes. She transformed into smaller version like baby and started eating his ramen. When he questioned her identity, she introduced herself as Dora and demonstrated a unique ability. She is going to sucking his whole food. He tried to flushing the 3-year-old dumb down to the toilet, but she kept coming back to bother him. As he biked to class to escape, he wondered how he had summoned a 3-million-year-old goddess. Despite his attempts to get rid of her, she teleported to follow him, promising to grant all his wishes. He tried throwing her in front of a bus, but she continued offering him favors, even her own body. In that thing all of guys would be say yes, but this virgin boy rudely declined by insulting her appearance. In class, she appeared again, splashing onto his window. Despite closing the window, she begged him to make a contract with her, insulting him further. After all the troubles of the day, he yelled at her to shut up, startling everyone in class. The teacher then yelled at him, "Who's the fuck idiot is shouting?" and start blaming his attitude for being the only failure in school, which made everyone laugh at him. After sitting down, he realized he was the only one who could see her. He decided to sneak out of the class while she was asleep. But when he got outside, a girl with a Karen haircut ran up to give him a love letter. How the fuck this is possible? This virgin loser got a love letter. Just then, Dora emerged from his backpack, teasing him that this was his only chance to get a date. Jai snapped, threw down his backpack, and yelled at her to leave him alone. The girl ran away crying, and Jai realized he might stay a virgin for the rest of his life. A few hours later, Jai came with a box of snacks, offering them to Dora in hopes she would leave him alone. However, she started crying and explained that a goddess rejected by her master is doomed to wander alone for eternity. I don't why my editing gets hard. Comment guys if you know. Before she disappeared, she asked if she could take one last walk with him, promising to cherish their final moments together. As they walked, she held his hand, though he found it repulsive, and transferred her mystical energy to his eyes, allowing him to see the truth about their world. An aura emanated around the people they saw, and Dora explained that everyone has the potential to become a summoner. However, Jai was the last summoner ever to be born in history and possessed the power of the 12 gods to either destroy the world or save it, depending on his choice. From inside the tree, a cat named Meow appeared, and Dora asked Jai if he would change the destiny of the universe to become a summoner and explore the new world with her. As he reached out his hand, she took it, locking their fingers together and forming a seal between them. This act disrupted the flow of gravity. After their contract was sealed, she teased him for falling into her trap, saying she would now never leave him alone. However, Jai was actually pleased with this turn of events because it meant Dora had become bound to him and had to obey his commands. But upon hearing this, she jumped onto his back, summoned her wings, and flew him around the city. Despite the thrill, they nearly crashed into a building when Dora exhausted her energy and started to pass out, causing them to slowly descend. That night, Dora considered it a miracle they survived, especially as the power went out in Jai's house. He hadn't been paying any bills after losing all his money in gambling. In response, Dora decided to awaken a secret power within him. An energy sphere rose into the sky, exploded into thousands of illuminating particles, and as these particles fell, they began healing his body. Jai, amazed by her powers, asked if she really was a goddess. With that, she decided to reveal everything to him. 3 million years ago, a devastating war between the gods and titans led to the destruction of the world. During the conflict, she was chained in the middle of the void, isolated and alone for all those years. The memories of the pain she endured took a toll on her, affecting her mind. Jai tried to ensure she was okay, but also realized this gave him a break from her constant presence. Nonetheless, he covered her up and pondered what his new life as a summoner would entail, unaware that a mysterious and attractive chick was watching him from the sky. The next day at school, Dora was flaunting her appearance to Jai, reassuring him that he was the only one who could see her like this. Just then, the news broadcasted a story about a mysterious, ugly loser who looked like a geek seen flying across the sky, which left Jai wondering why even the newscasters would never miss a chance to roast him. Dora wants a white stuff, so she asked Jai to apply a lotion on her back, but he puts his headphone on like GigaChat. Dora begged Jai to rub lotion on her, even offering a massage as an incentive, but their interaction was abruptly interrupted by a tentacle monster that captured Dora and began to attack her. In the chaos, Dora tossed the lotion bottle at Jai, but he was too stunned to catch it as he watched the monster seemingly devour Dora, only to spit out her melon protection onto his face. As Jai pursued the plant monster that rolled away with Dora, she yelled out that she and her powers are useless unless she was close to her summoner. Jai made a desperate leap to save her, but the plant monster blinded him and sent him crashing into a wall, narrowly avoiding a disastrous outcome. The monster managed to escape into a festival, and as Jai tried to navigate through the crowd to find Dora, he realized he had completely lost track of her. Before he could leave the scene, a large man dropped from the sky, demanding Jai apologize for rejecting his hot sister in a rude manner. Jai retorted insultingly about the man's sister's appearance and quickly ran away from the escalating situation. As Jai continued running, Dora's voice began to fade. She warned him that she was close to death and needed his help soon. Amidst the urgency, a random child who is kicked out from approached Jai, attempting to interest him in becoming a Jehovah's Witness. Frustrated, Jai dismissed the child harshly and continued his pursuit. Racing towards what he thought was the source of Dora's voice, Jai mistakenly leapt onto a cactus, only to realize it was actually an innocent girl. Redirecting himself, he followed the distinctive music emanating from Dora's location, recognizing it as the sound of a specific band known for their awful music. Arriving at a screamo concert, Jai sensed Dora's presence intensifying, but her responses began to wane as she lost energy. In a desperate attempt to provoke a reaction from her, he shouted out his relief at the thought of getting rid of her. Hearing this, Dora surged with energy and fought her way out of the plant monster's clutches. The climax of his rescue attempt came with a dramatic scene where Jai watched Dora beat up the plant, which then retreated back to a mysterious hot girl in the distance. As Dora launched an attack, the girl vanished into air. Despite Dora's eagerness to chase them, Jai advised against it, suggesting they find them another day since the girl seemed very dangerous and capable of controlling her summon while remaining hidden. At the same time, an old man advised the girl to ensure that Jai never escapes, emphasizing the importance of witnessing the powers of the last god. After she departed, the old man eagerly anticipated the moment when Jai would manifest his divine abilities through reincarnation in his godly form. The next day at school, a hot girl with captivating presence approached Jai. Despite the attention she drew from all the guys, she ignored them and walked straight to Jai's desk to slip him a note before leaving. Once she was gone, the curious onlookers read the note, which said she'd be waiting for him in the woods after school. After class, many boys followed Jai to see what would happen with this mysterious girl. Along the way, the same man who had previously confronted Jai for rejecting his sister and now for winning over the most attractive girl, yelled at him again. Undeterred, Jai continued his journey to the forest, followed by a group of guys. Inside the forest, he was relieved to see Meow again, ensuring she was safe in such an environment. Suddenly, vines sprang up, entangling the intrusive followers and allowing Jai to proceed alone. He reached the spot mentioned in the note, but it seemed to be a dead end. Just then, the trees parted. Walking through, Jai encountered the mysterious girl again. However, their reunion was cut short by a plant creature that demanded he hand over the spirit or risk his life. Jai refused to hand over his new pet, explaining that he had grown attached to Dora. His declaration, however, only fueled the girl's anger, prompting her to hurl a vine shaped like a rose at him, which scratched his cheeks with the force of the wind. In response, the girl intensified her assault by transforming a vine into a sword-like weapon that slammed into the ground near Jai. Dora, struggling to maintain consciousness, scrambled to find a weapon of her own to aid Jai. Meanwhile, as Jai dodged the attacks, Dora assured him that she would bring her weapon soon. The girl's control over the plants became more aggressive. She summoned a giant root that rose from the ground, and with a dramatic gesture, she unleashed thousands of plant blades that surged toward Jai. The ground beneath him was also under siege as vines erupted, aiming to cut him down. Confident in her powers, the girl decided to escalate further by summoning a massive tree from the ground, believing that using just 30% of their power was sufficient to win. As the enormous tree materialized, Jai quickly realized the gravity of his situation, noting the apparent inferiority of his own summon. Despite the dire circumstances, Dora managed a narrow escape from the tree's crushing blow and took to the air. However, the tree persisted in its chase, relentlessly pursuing Dora through the forest. As Jai rushed to protect Dora, two vines restrained her, and the girl signaled for the tree to finish her off. In his attempt to save Dora, Jai was crushed under the tree's palm. When the dust settled, it appeared that Jai was dead. But then a circular light shone through, and both he and Dora emerged wielding her special cleavers. The plant urged the girl to use all her powers, and the tree readied its fist to strike at Jai. However, Jai asked Dora to lend him her power, and with a forceful punch, he managed to freeze the tree's hands before pushing it away. When the tree attacked again, Jai used Dora's crystal wings to dodge the blows and managed to land on its arm. Activating his crystal shoes, he rushed up the tree's arm, slashing it down. With a final, powerful leap, he broke the tree's core, destroying it. Once the dust settled, Dora rushed over to hug Jai, while the girl went to make the tree disappear. As Jai observed the girl up close, he thought she was very pretty, which made Dora jealous and aggressive. However, Jai protected the girl, explaining that she wasn't using her full power during the fight and could have easily crushed them. At that moment, they noticed an army of tree monsters ready to attack them, but the plant declared that Jai alone had passed the test. With tensions high, Dora suggested they invite the girl and the plant home for dinner as a peace gesture. The plant dismissively remarked about Dora's worthless face and declined, claiming they weren't hungry. But then the girl's stomach growled, revealing her hunger. That night, as they all shared dinner, the plant complimented Jai's cooking and suggested they were better off as friends. Jai inquired why they were attacked initially, and the plant revealed they were the city's guardians who mistook him for an enemy. The plant hinted that Jai should join their team, but the girl quickly stuffed food into his mouth and left the house. Jai followed her outside, attempting to get laid in hopes of impressing her. She introduced herself as Hana and, giving him a dark rose, told him she would be watching him and Dora to ensure their best behavior. Just when Dora thought Jai's receiving of a dark rose from Hana might lead to a romantic date, Jai revealed that the flower actually signified ownership, hinting that he now belonged to Hana in some symbolic way. A few days later, their classroom experienced a bizarre interruption. A giraffe stuck its head inside, startling everyone with its sudden appearance. The students, already unnerved, were pushed to the edge when a raccoon leapt into the classroom, followed by several more that wreaked havoc, even managing to pull down their already useless teacher. The chaos escalated as Jai noticed more animals rampaging through the hallway. He joined the fleeing students, and as they reached the exit, a panda blocked their path. Jai managed to stop just in time, but squeezed past the panda to see that the entire city was in utter disarray. At a nearby basketball court, a chimp had joined a game, impressively playing like a professional, and even scoring on his first attempt. Simultaneously, an army of alpacas charged past Jai, and amidst this madness, as chaos unfolded with animals rampaging throughout the city, Dora was adamant that Jai should not seek refuge like everyone else. Being a summoner, she believed he had a responsibility to act rather than hide. While processing this, Jai noticed that the animals had escaped from the downtown zoo, as reported by a local journalist who was abruptly interrupted by a parrot. In the midst of this confusion, Jai spotted a girl who appeared to be dangerously close to a lion. Believing she was in immediate danger, he tackled her to the ground for safety. However, the girl was not grateful. Instead, she grew angry, puzzling Jai until he noticed a cat near her. When he tried to take the cat away, thinking it might be safer, the cat clawed his face and returned to the girl. Dora warned Jai that there was something unusual about this girl and to be cautious around her. Simultaneously, from a nearby rooftop, Hana and her plant observed the scene. Realizing that the girl had the power to summon monsters, Hana sensed an opportunity for an easy victory. They leapt into action, descending from the rooftop. As they landed, Hana summoned a black rose, and her vines began to restrain the rampaging animals, aiming to bring order to the chaos. The girl managed a narrow escape, and with a snap of her fingers, a large root lifted Hana and her plant ally into the air. The plant demanded to know why she had freed all the zoo animals. The girl claimed it was because the land originally belonged to the animals before humans took over. Dismissing her argument as nonsense, the plant demanded she hand over her summoned spirit. Instead, she insisted on the release of her animals. Her anger flaring, the girl suddenly appeared behind Hana, launching a kick, but Hana blocked it. The girl then prepared a powerful claw strike. Hana cast her aside, but she quickly returned, nearly tearing off Hana's hair. Despite Hana's evasive maneuvers, the girl continued her aggressive attacks, managing to slash Hana's face, forcing her to retreat. As the fierce battle raged, Dora, armed with her cleavers, deliberated on whom to support. Jai suggested that they stay out of the fight for now. Meanwhile, Hana tried to fend off the girl using vines to block and repel her attacks. The girl dodged an attempted whip but got her ankle caught. Hana then dragged her across the building until she slammed her into the ground, showing the intensity and danger of their conflict. Even though the girl wouldn't give up and charged at her, Hana started using her whip just as the girl activated her eagle eye power, which made Hana's movements seem slow to her. As she moved closer quickly, Hana summoned a large vine. However, the girl turned on her leopard speed, darting around swiftly. Seeing her chance, she then used the strength of a bear, but Hana dodged her powerful attack. The bear's attack flipped the road, yet Hana stopped it with her whip and a plant. Her plant warned her that it was weakening, so she summoned a tree monster to finish the battle. The monster charged and threw rubble at the bear, but the bear didn't back down and they grappled. At that moment, Hana's plant merged with the tree, and she strengthened it with a spell. The tree's eyes lit up, grew extra arms, and launched a barrage of punches at the bear, finally knocking it away. Before the bear hit the ground, the tree grabbed and crushed it in a tight hug until it shattered into 100 pieces. However, the pieces reassembled into a pack of wolves that immediately attacked the tree monster, tearing at its limbs. Hana felt each attack as if it were her own wound. She quickly transformed the tree into a piercing weapon, spinning powerfully and scattering the wolves into bits. Just as those bits came together to form a giant snake, it constricted the tree, ripping off one of its arms. The tree managed to throw the snake against a wall. As both monsters refused to back down, Jay noticed Hana's arm was injured, and she was close to losing consciousness. In that moment, the cat unleashed a ferocious attack, and both monsters were ready to destroy each other. Realizing the need to stop the fight, Jay asked Dora for a non-lethal weapon. Quickly, they used soul shackles to restrain both creatures. Jay then told Hana to reflect on her actions, pointing out her recklessness. As the girl transformed back to her human form and tried to continue the fight, Jay dismissed their struggle as meaningless. Jay lifted the cat, revealing that she was the real summoner, and the spirit disappeared. He criticized Hana for not considering all possibilities before fighting, suggesting that the cat had a reason for causing trouble. He then started treating the cat's wound. Despite the cat's pain causing her to bite him, Jay finished treating her and named her Meow, recalling when he first cared for her. As peace settled over the group, Dora told Hana that they would take Meow with them, but the plant demanded that the cat be handed over immediately. However, Jay remained firm in his decision, stating he would only hand over the cat once she was fully healed. When the plant tried to confront him, Dora threatened it with her cleaver, declaring she would chop it up like a useless weed. Realizing they had no other options, Hana decided to back down and made the tree monster disappear before walking away. That night, they learned that all the animals had been captured and the reporter looked as if she had been hit by a bus. As Jay puzzled over how a cat could become a summoner, the girl Meow explained that any animal could be a summoner, mentioning her brother was the coolest summoner of all. However, her mood darkened as she recalled how he had abandoned her several years earlier. She had tried to find him, but her summoning powers were temporarily lost after she sustained injuries in her desperate search. In a bid to attract his attention, she decided to release all the animals into the city. However, her attempt turned out to be as futile as Jay's expression. Yet Jay told her not to feel sad. Meanwhile, a crow was spying on them from outside. Soon, it flew off and rejoined a swarm of 1,000,000 other crows, amongst which her brother was revealed. A few days later, as Jay answered the door, he was surprised to find a group of ugly green alien-like creatures. One of them informed him that Hana had invited them for dinner, though Jay suspected they might actually end up being the dinner. He tried to shut them out, but they revealed their weapons, leaving Jay with no other options. Soon, they were escorting him and his companions to a helicopter, and they quickly arrived at a mansion. As Hana welcomed them, they realized that the mansion was almost like paradise. Suddenly, they noticed a fire monster grilling pork, which made Jay wonder if all the beings there were summoned spirits. The plant, however, clarified that they only had one summoner. Inside the house, they saw a large statue, and the plant explained that it depicted the first leader of the Watchers. As they began to ascend the steps, Jay heard his mother's voice and thought the statue was speaking to him. In a moment of bewilderment, he realized he had entered a new world and saw his mother waving at him. However, Dora stopped Jay from walking closer, and the plant dismissed his experience as just daydreaming. Before long, they arrived in the dining room where an old man introduced himself as Harlon. He was Hana's grandfather and the head of the Black Rose family. Dora initially thought he was just a regular old man, but he commanded them to sit with a mere gesture, revealing his incredible aura. As Harlon apologized for summoning them, he began to explain that a crystal was the source of all their spirits, describing it as both a god and a devil. He shared that for centuries, human summoners had waged wars over this crystal, creating a division between two factions, the Watchers and the Destroyers. The Destroyers were a sinister group aiming to take over the world. As Harlon shared this, Jay wondered which faction he might belong to. Jay tried joking that his parents had always warned him to stay away from old men's groups, but Harlon decided to reveal the truth about Jay's past. He told Jay that his parents had actually abandoned him when he was only 5 years old and had since disappeared without a trace. Harlon admitted he had dyed his hair in a desperate attempt to hide his identity, suggesting that Jay probably felt uneasy on the inside. Harlon then shared that Jay's life was not a coincidence and that he had managed to summon Dora because he possessed a special ability within him. Just then, Dora, while rifling through Jay's wallet, found his childhood photograph and realized he was actually blonde, confirming Harlon's story. Shocked by this revelation, they wondered how Harlon knew so much. A few minutes later, a giant ball began falling towards the mansion and crashed through the roof. Harlon struck it with a powerful blow, causing the windows to shatter from the collision. At that moment, they discovered a man standing before them. Harlon revealed that the man was a destroyer. As the destroyer prepared for an attack, Harlon realized that the destroyers had been spying on them and readied himself for battle. He summoned a flame and declared his intent to eliminate all of them. Their blows collided, igniting a great flame. As the destroyer lunged to finish him, Harlon evaded and froze the attacker's arm, then struck his back before following up with lightning, briefly electrocuting him. However, the big guy wouldn't go down easily and unleashed a mighty power that destroyed the mansion. Harlon managed to contain the blast, but he quickly realized that the mansion was no longer safe and urged everyone to leave immediately, hoping that Hana would protect Jay. Just then, the destroyer lunged to finish Harlon, and the collision launched the others outside. Hana managed to save them with her vines. In that moment, they saw that the entire mansion had been destroyed. A servant tried to warn them to run away, but before they could react, another destroyer appeared. This new enemy started shooting randomly, fatally wounding the servant, and then blasting the gardener as she savored her actions with a lick of her gun. Hana, fueled by anger, tried to trap the destroyer with her vines by striking the ground, but the girl quickly summoned a gun and nearly shot Hana's face off. Jay suggested that they fight together, but the girl responded by throwing dynamites at them, which exploded instantly. As Jay regained consciousness, he saw that Hana was trying to capture the girl. Meanwhile, the cat spotted her brother in the distance. At the same time, several alien-like creatures tried to attack him, but he prepared a great bolt of lightning and destroyed them all in an instant. Then, the fire monster unleashed a mighty flame, but the man released his crows to devour it until he finally caught him and destroyed him instantly. Just then, he noticed the cat, who suddenly spoke. As she asked why he had left, he summoned a mighty crow that struck her head, turning her back into a cat. Seeing this, Jay rushed at the man, ready to destroy him with an energy blast. But suddenly, a mysterious figure appeared and enchanted Jay's mind, transporting him to a strange world where he was a child again. At that moment, his mother showed up, making him think his dream had come true. But the happy illusion quickly broke, and he realized he was actually in the clutches of a demon. Meanwhile, Dora was trying to wake Jay up in the real world but found out his soul was trapped in another realm. At the same time, Harlon was fiercely battling the destroyer, tossing him around like a ball. He punched him high towards the moon, then followed with a flurry of punches before slamming him to the ground. Instantly appearing in front of him, Harlan summoned energy blasts and demanded to know where his boss was hiding. As Hana saw her grandfather dominating his battle, she activated the Black Rose. The tree monster almost crushed her, but she managed to escape using her rocket boots. Just then, a creature with green eyes overwhelmed and destroyed the monster. At that moment, Hana's clothes were torn and the plant collapsed from exhaustion. However, before Hana could recover from her injuries, a new girl appeared, ready to kill her. In a flash, she slit Hana's throat, and the plant screamed. Hearing the scream, Harlan quickly unleashed a healing magic on her, closing up the wound. However, the destroyer used Harlan's distraction to attack with a powerful fist, but Harlan froze him to the wall. Just then, another destroyer appeared behind Harlan and unleashed a mighty crow that went right through him. This allowed the evil girl to blast a hole in his head, and the plant screamed in shock. Yet, the memory of his granddaughter awakened Harlan's full powers, transforming him into a god. As the destroyer released a blast, the god countered with an energy blast of his own, sending it deep into the forest. Despite this, the destroyer restored himself, and the group surrounded Harlan. Just then, a new guy arrived, and the god tried to squash him, but he summoned the Grim Reaper, who began absorbing the entire spirit until there was nothing left. The Grim Reaper then ripped off his energy source, and his soul left his body as the man crushed it. One of the girls wondered if Dora and the plant should also be annihilated, but he decided to spare them. As a great energy surrounded them, they vanished instantly, leaving a gaping hole at the spot. The following day, as they waited for Hana to regain consciousness, Dora grew angry, haunted by the memories of the previous night's defeat and wondering why they were so ineffective against the enemies. Jay then explained that the destroyers were stronger at night, suggesting that they never really stood a chance against them. However, Dora found this irrelevant and began screaming for revenge. Jay managed to calm her down and revealed that he had found a lead, a video of Harlan's fight. He explained that a mysterious person had streamed the entire battle using satellite cameras. Upon investigating, he discovered that this person knew everything about summoners, suggesting that finding her could give them an advantage against the destroyers. As Dora pondered how they would find this person, Jay revealed that she was having a book signing event. A few hours later, as they were ready to meet her, he instructed the plant to watch over Hana, promising to return. Meanwhile, in a faraway city, the mysterious girl abruptly stopped a train with her device, unlocked the doors herself, and used her magic to force the escalator to ascend, astonishing everyone around. Upon arriving in the city, she changed all the public screens to display her face, making herself an instant celebrity. At her event, she announced the start of her book signing, though no one really knew who she was. Meow, with sharp eyesight, spotted her as Jay wondered about her potential danger. He suggested that the girls keep their distance for now, suspecting that she might be very powerful, and they prepared for any necessary action. In the meantime, the girl was exhausted from waiting all day and realized she was far too ineffective to sell even a single copy of her book, which she now deemed useless. Just then, Jay appeared before her, enthusiastically calling her book the next Twilight series. Eager to impress her, he decided to buy all her books, making her think that today was the greatest day of her life. However, she already knew who he was and asked what he wanted. Jay revealed his identity, realizing the jig was up. Suddenly, she began to summon Dora and Meow, and they were puzzled about how she knew them. She explained that she had been spying on them and revealed that they had actually been attacked by 7 destroyers the previous night. She disclosed that her special ability involved her phone. As Dora decided to take a look at the device, the girl warned them that her device always alerted her in times of danger. Just then, it began warning them, and they narrowly dodged an explosion. As Dora wondered who launched the attack, the device signaled a high-grade danger approaching. The girl quickly informed them that several enemies were approaching. Before they knew it, she ran off, and as they caught up with her, she confessed that she was the target. However, Jay felt she was important to their group and declared that they would not abandon her. Just then, she barely dodged a blast and they evaded another explosion. Suddenly, a strange machine started flying towards them, so they jumped off a bridge and landed inside a car that sped away instantly. When Jay wondered how the car was moving on its own, the girl revealed she was controlling it with her device. Then, they noticed the machines were flying closer, and the girl identified them as destroyers. At that moment, they began firing at them. She reassured them that these machines were low-ranking spirits that were not worth worrying about. She mentioned she had cut off their wireless signal so they couldn't call for backup. However, the machines continued firing and even hit a tire, but the car managed to regain control. Realizing no one would come to rescue them, Dora and Meow decided to confront the threat themselves. As Meow launched a claw wind at the machine, It quickly dodged, showing they were faster than expected. So, Dora decided to launch spirit swords, but the machine evaded those too. Just then, the girl managed to electrocute it, giving them a brief moment of victory. However, the celebration was short-lived as other machines began closing in. The girls launched more attacks, but the machines dodged them all and started firing at the car. Jay then covered them with a shield to protect against the bullets. The machines intensified their attack, doubling their ammo and weakening the shield with a barrage of bullets and missiles. The girl initially thought the missiles had missed their target, but Jay realized they were aiming for the road instead of the car. The bridge exploded, and as they tried to fly over to the other side, the car began to descend. Dora quickly unleashed her crystal wings, managing to catch everyone in a dramatic rescue. However, her strength soon waned, and they plummeted to the ground. Before they could recover, the machines rounded them up and began scanning their faces. In a desperate move, the girl activated her device, and suddenly, the biggest villain in the history truck comes towards the machine, striking it with enough force to knock it back. For a moment, it seemed like they might have a chance to escape into an alternative world, but the machine quickly regrouped and fired missiles at the truck, blowing them all away.
What? I don't believe it!
Leaving the group to face the harsh reality of their dire situation. Having reached her limit, the girl activated her device, transforming it into a gamepad and converting the truck into a battle robot. She confidently took her position as the pilot, and the robot charged forward, absorbing the incoming fire and swiftly knocking one machine to the ground. She tried to celebrate her victory, but was quickly interrupted as another machine fired at her. Without hesitation, she retaliated, destroying it and crushing its core. The last machine attempted to flee, but she pursued it aggressively, deflecting its missiles and ultimately capturing and crushing it completely. The group was impressed by her prowess, but the triumph was short-lived as she soon noticed a fuel leak in the robot. Moments later, the robot exploded, hurling her far from the scene. When the group located her, they were stunned to discover that she was actually a boy. Jay recognized him as the odd character he had encountered while searching for Dora. As Dora scrutinized his wig, she dismissed him as a filthy, disgusting psycho, and Meow bluntly told him to go to hell. Despite the harsh reactions from the others, Jay saw potential in him and invited him to join their group. However, the boy, named Stan, was hesitant about joining what he perceived as a group of ugly morons. The next day, inside Stan's van, which he revealed to be not only his home but also his secret laboratory, Stan shared some crucial information with the group. Despite Dora still regarding him as a useless, disgusting psycho, Jay was curious about how they could locate the destroyers. Stan explained that he had been monitoring fluctuations in spiritual energy. He pointed out the green dots on his monitor, which marked all the unawakened summoned spirits within the past month, and the red dots, which indicated the destroyers' activities across the city. As Stan sped up the timeline on his display, the group could see that the destroyers consistently overwhelmed the summoned spirits. This observation led Jay to realize that the destroyers have been capturing the powers of summoners. Stan then decided to show them a scan of Harlon's mansion from the night they were attacked. As Jay examined the scan and saw all the summoned spirits, he deduced that the mansion must have been storing them. This, he figured, explained why the destroyers attacked the mansion, to steal all the spirits inside. Stan revealed another discovery. All the summoned spirits had awakened on a single day. As Jay shared that Dora was summoned on that very same day, Stan became intrigued. He suggested that Dora might be a special kind of spirit and decided to ask more about her true identity, hinting at a deeper connection or purpose behind her presence. As Dora grappled with memories that terrified her, Stan urged her to stay quiet, promising that they might uncover the truth about what really happened at the mansion. Pulling up at the site, they were met with the stark visuals of destruction. Stan activated recon mode, and a light dispersed around them, scanning the entire area. During the scan, he spotted the family's camera spirit and decided to access its memory in hopes of reconstructing the crime scene. After processing the data, Stan presented a hologram and explained that the first destroyer was an Earth summoner who had descended from a portal to remain undetected. He was confident that a dimensional summoner had opened the portal to facilitate this covert entry. For the second attack, he disclosed that the attacker was an elemental summoner specializing in fire element guns, who seemed nearly unstoppable. When he mentioned Meow's brother, whom he identified as Crow, an animal summoner, Meow began to suspect he might have been brainwashed. As they delved deeper, Stan revealed another hologram, explaining that Jay's mind had been hijacked by another man during the attacks. For the sixth member of the attackers, he explained she was known as Shadow due to her ability to attack from the shadows with her elemental powers. Revealing the last hologram, Stan disclosed that Harlon was killed by a man capable of absorbing spirits. As they arrived at the gaping hole at the site, Stan proposed that the true motive behind the attack was buried deep underground. Determined, he slid down into the hole, and the others followed. Observing the extent of the destruction, Jay speculated that the dimensional summoner involved must have been incredibly powerful to make half of the building vanish. Stan scanned the area further and revealed a huge storage beneath them filled with summoned spirits. He shared that Hana's family, known as the Watchers, had collected and sealed away thousands of summoned spirits, secretly locking them under the mansion. As the hologram faded, Stan informed the group that Hana's grandfather had been the strongest Watcher in the world, and he lamented that they were probably hopeless now with his passing. Just then, Jay noticed a fragment among the debris that seemed different from the rest. When Stan scanned it, he identified it as a chunk from one of their enemies and detected a special particle on its surface. Meow decided to sniff the scent emanating from the fragment and recognized it as coming from a flower she had encountered before, the equinox flower. Stan then revealed that this flower grows in the stone forest just outside the city. He mentioned that a few hours ago, a fluctuation in spiritual energy had been detected there, suggesting that one of the 7 destroyers might currently be in that location. Meow speculated that the destroyer might be alone, which could present them an opportunity to eliminate him. Dora expressed confidence in their chances of winning but pragmatically suggested they retreat if the situation turned against them. Her strategy made sense to everyone, and they all agreed to leave before sunrise to try and catch the destroyer off guard. And while riding in the van, Stan decided to ask Jai about his past. Jai then shared that when he was 5, his parents neglected him, which led him to burn down their house. He survived by eating leftover rice from dumpsters. As Jai became sad, Dora tried to comfort him. This prompted Meow to ask about her own past. Dora explained that her memories were unclear, but she remembered wandering the world 3 million years ago without a home. She also mentioned getting migraines whenever she tried to remember more. Stan confirmed her story was true because he had scanned her and found that her heart was chained, suggesting her memories were locked away, not lost. When Jai wondered how to break the chains, Stan said they were unbreakable, even by gods. The next morning, they reached the stone forest, which Dora found spooky and wondered if they should go back. However, Jai wanted to confront their enemy, so they flew past the stones and saw a village ahead. As they walked through the deserted village, Stan mentioned it had been destroyed 10 years ago and visitors often vanished mysteriously. Soon, they found a sea of equinox roses, confirming they were in the right place. Suddenly, Meow threw them to the ground, warning that someone was inside a nearby house. Just then, a man came out and began gardening. Stan scanned his face, and Jai calmed Dora down, urging they find out who he really was. They watched him for hours, with Meow noting no signs of spiritual power, although the signal was weak. They continued observing as the man went back inside. As they continued to watch the man, Meow sensed a thunderstorm approaching. Just then, a rat emerged from the ground, startling Dora and revealing their presence to the man. Realizing their cover was blown, Jay decided to approach him. The man seemed surprised to have visitors, mentioning he hadn't had any in years. Jay tried to explain that they were students conducting fieldwork. But when the man looked around curiously for the others, Jay noticed that he couldn't see Dora, confirming that the man wasn't a summoner. The man kindly offered Jay tea, which Jay threw away, wary of the stranger's intentions. However, the man persisted, returning with packed meals and even offering snacks, though Jay stopped him from bringing more. Jay then asked if the man lived alone, to which he replied that he had been alone for many years and was just happy to have company, even if it was Jay's ugly face. As the wind began to stir the flowers, Jay asked if the man had planted them himself. The man shared a touching story. The field was once barren and unable to support any plant life. However, a girl had persistently planted seeds in the ground for many years, hoping to see flowers bloom, though she never saw the fruits of her labor. Inspired by her determination, he continued her work after her demise. Within a few months, he was amazed to find the flowers growing on their own, eventually covering the entire area. Meanwhile, Mao realized the storm had arrived, and the increasing wind started to whip around them. As they prepared to seek shelter from the storm, Jay noticed that the man had fallen into a trance. The escalating wind began to scatter his flowers, and the sight enraged him. In a fit of fury, he tore off his clothes, and at that moment, Stan identified him as one of the destroyers. He urgently shouted for Jay to take action and eliminate the threat. Before they could approach him, lightning struck the man, sending a powerful blast that knocked the group back. As the energy overwhelmed him, a thick wall formed around his body. Despite his attempts to call for help, his transformation into a ruthless monster was completed. As the smoke cleared, the group recognized him as the monster who had attacked the mansion. Instantly, he lunged to attack Jay, but Jay's holy shield absorbed the impact, causing him to stumble. Meow then intervened, striking his face with a kick and activating her claw wind to scratch his back. However, she quickly realized his skin was impenetrable, thicker than a wall. Ruthless then charged at her, but as Jay and Dora attacked from behind, their weapons shattered upon contact and their marks vanished. Realizing their conventional weapons were ineffective, Dora decided to summon new powers for Jay while requesting Stan to provide cover. Despite the danger, Meow was determined to stay in the fight. She skillfully dodged beneath Ruthless and clawed at his back before kicking him away. Even as she continued her assault, she reassured Jay that she knew exactly what she was doing. However, Ruthless managed to grab her foot during another attack, slamming her into the ground before kicking her away. Stan rushed to her side and found her badly wounded from the encounter. As Ruthless turned his attention towards Jay, Stan stepped up to the challenge, declaring that he would hold off the enemy to buy them some time. He attempted to access vital information about Ruthless, but the destroyer quickly punched him away and tried to crush him into the ground. Miraculously, Stan reappeared behind Ruthless. It was revealed that Stan was using a holographic shadow clone to distract him. Ruthless frantically tried to attack the holograms, but to no avail, as a dozen Stans taunted him, telling him he was going to hell. Frustrated and enraged, Ruthless unleashed a mighty wind that shattered the ground, blowing the real Stan away. Jay managed to catch him and quickly cast a protective shield around them to shield from flying debris and rocks. Amidst the chaos, Jay noticed something alarming under the ground: skeletons, hinting at a dark secret buried beneath them. As Jay stared at the skeletons beneath the ground, he concluded that Ruthless must have been responsible for the annihilation of the entire village, and he felt a deep conviction that Ruthless deserved to face justice. At that moment, Ruthless summoned rocks from the ground and hurled them towards the group. Jay quickly cast a protective shield around them to block the attack. During the chaos, Dora connected with Jay, sharing her energy and memories with him, as well as the techniques of every weapon she knew. Empowered and ready for battle, Jay charged forward with renewed vigor. He wielded his silver lance, tearing Ruthless's arm from his body in a powerful strike. Without hesitation, Jay continued his assault, slicing through Ruthless with a sky-rending sword, and then knocking him back with a reverse blade. At Stan's direction, Jay plunged his blade into Ruthless's core and blocked an incoming fist with the flat of his blade, culminating in slamming Ruthless into the ground with Thor's hammer, cracking the armor that protected his core. Exhausted and defeated, Ruthless lay on the ground, pleading for his life. He revealed his name was Moduo and insisted that he must stay alive to prevent a parasitic spirit from escaping, explaining that the core embedded in his heart was actually a seal meant to contain it. Just as Moduo finished speaking, the core began to crack, signaling impending danger. Stan alerted the others to a strong fluctuation in spiritual energy emanating from the seal. Suddenly, a sword with a large spike erupted from the core. Meanwhile, far away on a tower, the leader of the destroyers noticed that Moduo's flame had extinguished, a sign that he had lost control. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the leader ordered all destroyers to be summoned immediately. Amidst the chaos on the mountain, the inner monster within Moduo revealed itself, having completely taken over. Stan grimly informed the group that Moduo was dead, replaced by this monstrous entity. The monster unleashed a surge of terrible energy, causing spikes to eject from the rocks around them. The group managed to dodge these spikes and decided to counterattack. Jay launched a flurry of swords at the monster while Stan unleashed an energy blast. Meow, summoning her wolf fangs, attempted to bite the monster, but it vanished instantly. In a swift and brutal counter, the monster reappeared and pierced Meow with a stake, causing her to fall down in her cat form. While Stan was distracted by Meow's fall, the stone beast delivered a powerful punch that sent him flying. Jay dodged an incoming fist from the monster and retaliated with his Thor hammer, but in his continued assault, the hammer shattered into pieces. Undeterred, Jay summoned a dozen swords and hurled them at the monster's face, but it remained unscathed. Refusing to give up, Jay then paired a silver lance and hurled it directly into the monster's eye. Dora thought they had finally subdued it, but the monster merely pulled out the spear, breaking it before their eyes. Realizing that its body was nearly impregnable, Jay called for Dora to focus all her powers into a single strike. Dora unleashed all her energy while Jay prepared a great sword, reputed to split anything apart. He charged at the monster with this mighty weapon, but the monster blocked his attack, shattering the sword. The monster then struck Jay, sending him flying into a rock. As Dora rushed to Jay, trying to wake him, she found that he was trapped inside her spirit prison. Touching a chain, she dissolved it away just in time as the monster tried to finish Jay. Dora protected him with a shield, which the monster immediately began to destroy. With quick thinking, Dora cast another shield, determined to protect Jay. As the monster confronted them, Jay, touching Dora's crystal, released all her stored energy. The monster, noticing the crystal, was suddenly bombarded by 1,000 swords descending from the sky, pinning him to the ground. At that moment, a powerful goddess with mighty wings appeared and summoned the judgment of heaven. A great sword then descended from the sky, striking down on the monster with the force of a nuclear blast, crushing it completely and draining its soul into the heavens. As the dust settled and the sky cleared, Jay gazed upon the goddess and thought she was Dora. When Jay woke up again, he discovered that the intense battle was over. Stan informed him that everyone had managed to survive the ordeal. Before long, they stumbled upon Majuo's body, confirming that he was indeed dead. As they contemplated their next move, Stan expressed concern about how they would locate the remaining destroyers. Jay, more certain of their enemies' intentions, suggested that the destroyers would likely seek them out first. Thus, they decided to leave the area that night. As they departed, the destroyers arrived at the site and discovered Majuo's body. Hart, one of the destroyers, decided to read Majuo's memories to understand what had transpired. The entire sequence of the battle flashed before his eyes, giving him a clear picture of the events that led to Majuo's demise. After reviewing the memories, Hart paid his last respects to Majuo and was filled with a resolve to avenge his death. Inside Stan's van, Dora was trying to heal Jay because he was unconscious from losing too much blood. At the same time, Stan noticed that Meow had a fever and hoped the destroyers wouldn't find them. However, their device detected a huge surge of spiritual energy and a portal opened. Shadow appeared and sliced the van in half with her shadow blade, putting everyone's lives in danger. Right then, Crow emerged from another portal, sending a flame that ripped through their bodies and destroyed the van, sending them flying. Before they could react, Flame appeared and instantly killed Stan and Meow. As Jay hit the ground, he realized his friends were dead and all the destroyers appeared. Har called him a useless disappointment and told him to save his last words for the devil. Suddenly, Space cast a spell that tore him into pieces until his soul left his body. When he woke up, he found himself in a strange dimension, facing a cloaked man who told him he was dead in the real world and stuck in the gap between space and time. The man also told him that his friends were all killed. Angry and blaming himself for being too weak, Jay broke the glass in despair. However, the man offered Jay 3 minutes to return to the past, apologizing for neglecting him as a child. As he revealed himself, he told Jay that he had forgiven him for burning down their house and wished he could have been a better father. He promised to meet him at the demon furnace. Suddenly, Jay woke up in the van and Dora tried to heal his wound, but he warned everyone that the destroyers would soon arrive. Minutes later, Shadow emerged from the portal, cast her shadow blade, and split the van apart, but realized it was empty. It was a trap, and an explosive went off. Stan confirmed the explosion was successful. Dora started to praise Jay as a genius, but he said their battle wasn't over yet and suggested they rescue Hana immediately. Stan agreed and activated the nitro boost to speed up the car. They quickly reached his home, only to find that Hana had disappeared. As Dora wondered if she had been captured, Jay found a letter from her, suggesting she left on her own. As they went outside, Stan told them the destroyers were close by and summoned Hana's family's helicopter for their escape. Inside the helicopter, Jay read the letter and discovered Hana was headed to the demon furnace. Meow mentioned that it was on a faraway island, a holy site for training where successful trial completers become full-fledged summoners. Legend said a mysterious spiritual energy in the deepest part of the demon furnace could grant the ability to see past and future. However, they were unsure of the island's location and felt hopeless about finding it until Jay noticed coordinates on the letter. Stan realized that these were indeed the location of the demon furnace, so without further delay, they headed towards it. They reached the supernatural border and faced a mighty storm. Stan explained that the island was hidden beyond the storm, and this part of the ocean was called the Sea of Death because every plane that reached this spot disappeared. As they ventured into the storm, doubts about their survival loomed. But Dora remarked grimly that their useless ends were probably near. Suddenly, they passed through a light and emerged from the storm, spotting the island in front of them. However, Jay sensed a mysterious presence, and at that instant, Shadow appeared behind him and tried to kill him with her shadow blade. Jay cast his holy shield, which deflected the blade, causing the helicopter to explode. As they began to fall, Jay dodged another attack. Stan quickly activated his gamepad and transformed the broken helicopter pieces into a robot, saving them as they braced for battle. Jay launched his mystic cannon while the girls attacked together, but Shadow vanished just then. Meow then warned them about a new threat as Flame began firing at them. The girls countered, but Flame dodged and continued his assault until the robot was nearly destroyed. At that moment, Crow flew towards them, and Jay blasted him with the mystic cannon. As Crow exploded, flaming crows fell into the robot, causing it to drop toward the island. When it crashed, the destroyers appeared before them, and it seemed like they were doomed. However, a girl named Bonnie arrived and placed stickers on them, declaring they had violated the island's rules. This was their final warning. When Flame threatened to eliminate her, Bonnie bluntly told her this not your home. She reminded them that they were at the demon furnace and killing was only allowed inside the arena. Shadow grew angry at Bonnie's reminder that killing was only allowed inside the arena and threatened to annihilate her. However, Har, having been a former participant on the island himself, stopped her from causing trouble. As the aggressors decided to leave, they vanished instantly, and the group realized how lucky they were to have survived. Bonnie officially welcomed them to the island and expressed her hope to see them in the arena. As Jay attempted to ask her a question, she took off instantly, prompting them to run after her. After a few exhausting hours, just as they wondered if they would ever make it to the town, a man appeared with an ugly monster and offered them a ride. He introduced himself as Richard, a traveling merchant. With the others too exhausted to speak, Jay accepted his offer. As they rode off on the monster, Richard noticed their disheveled appearance and asked why they looked like homeless brokies. Dora explained that they were running from the destroyers. To reassure them, Richard shared that the island was a safe haven where no one could harm them. He told them about the island's history. It was built by the ancient Shures, away from the world, to ensure that battles between the Watchers and the Destroyers occurred only inside the arena. This arrangement had maintained peace on the island after a long war between the two factions. Richard assured them that they would always be safe here. As they entered the town, Richard led them to a pub where they drank a bottle of green liquid. Dora initially found it refreshing, but they all soon realized that the drink was healing their wounds. Richard explained that it was medicinal water from an underground spring, very special indeed. Intrigued, the group requested more bottles. However, after they finished, the owner presented them with a staggering bill of over $200,000 for the drinks. Overwhelmed by the amount, Say worried about how they could ever manage to pay it back. Fortunately, Richard stepped in to cover the cost for them and suggested they could repay him later. As they walked through the town, Richard mentioned that it was mostly inhabited by those who had lost at the demon furnace, revealing that they were all summoners. Feeling a sense of camaraderie with the locals, they then stopped at a store where they decided to update their outfits. Richard generously offered to pay for their new clothes but secretly whispered to the seller to set a trap for later that evening. Upon reaching the demon furnace, the setting struck Dora as ethereal, almost like heaven. They began their ascent to the top where Bonnie was already there, greeting all the summoners with enthusiasm, welcoming them to what promised to be a challenging and exhilarating event. As Bonnie prepared the summoners for the upcoming contest, she explained that registration required passing through one of 4 doors. However, the group faced their first obstacle immediately. A robot at the first door demanded a $2 million registration fee. Overwhelmed by the amount, Say despaired about his ability to pay, but Stan stepped up, revealing he had funded his fee by hacking and transferring money from a Mexican cartel's bank accounts. Suddenly, a boastful individual pushed past them, dismissively paying his fee in cash to access the first door. At the second door, the rule was different. Only beautiful girls could enter. Dora instantly transformed into a stunning hot chick of herself and breezed through, while Meow attempted to follow but was rebuked harshly by the guard for her looks. The third door tested physical strength. A boastful man attempted to demonstrate his power by striking wood but was outclassed when Meow obliterated the barrier with the force of a bear, allowing him to proceed. Finally, at the 4th door, Richard appeared, casually bypassing the entry requirement. Intrigued, Say asked how Richard managed to enter so effortlessly. Richard explained that his reputation had granted him a pass. This door was reserved for celebrities. When Dora questioned what he was famous for, Richard evasively chose not to disclose that he was actually an infamous criminal, known and wanted globally as a notorious figure. At that moment, Bonnie appeared before them and began explaining the layout of the demon furnace arena. This place has 100 floors, she said, and the first 20 floors are basically the beginner's level. As they absorbed this information, one summoner shared that he had only made it past the 5th floor, and another admitted to barely scraping past the 3rd. Hearing this, Richard confessed that this was his 5th attempt and that he was perennially stuck at the first checkpoint, never having gone beyond the 9th floor. This revelation shocked everyone. As they arrived at the first checkpoint, Bonnie explained that there was a checkpoint every 10 floors, and if they failed the trial, they would have to start all over again. Shortly after, they reached a luxury hotel where Bonnie advised them to rest before the first elimination round. Then, as swiftly as she appeared, she vanished. Drawn by the scent of delicious food from the restaurant, Meow led the group to eat. Later, as they relaxed in the bath, they caught sight of Hana on TV. She was performing exceptionally well in the competition, having already reached the 11th floor and being hailed as the competition's brightest star. She had captured several monsters with a green ball, which impressed the group. Motivated by Hana's success, Jay suggested they give their best effort in hopes of encountering her. However, the night took a sinister turn when they returned to their rooms. Jay's room transformed into a cell with spikes ejecting from the walls, and the room began to close in. Panicking, Jay tried the door, only to find it locked, and Dora discovered that the windows were sealed shut. In an attempt to rescue them, Dora summoned her cleavers to destroy the door, but they shattered to pieces. Realizing the room was a design trap, Dora tried using a series of weapons, but the walls kept closing in. In a final desperate moment before the walls could crush them, Jay suggested using a skeleton key. Miraculously, they managed to unlock the door and narrowly escaped outside, breathing sighs of relief after the harrowing encounter. At that moment, the group realized that every room was a trap. In their rush to find Meow, they saw a green, ugly cockroach crawling out of her room. As Jay tried to squash it, the cockroach transformed back into Meow, who explained that morphing was the only way she could escape the trap. Simultaneously, other summoners started emerging from their rooms. Stan was the last one unaccounted for, and as red paint spread from under his door, they feared the worst and prepared to pay their respects. Suddenly, Stan dropped from the ceiling, having escaped through the vents. Just then, a voice boomed over the PA system. An ugly clown declared himself the boss of the first floor. Instantly, the hallway erupted in explosions. Jay and Dora narrowly dodged the traps, and Stan almost met his maker for the second time that evening. Dora suggested a retreat to the lobby, and they sprinted towards it, but the floor exploded again, sending a man plummeting into lava below. Jay yelled for the others to run as the ground collapsed beneath them. Stan started to fall, but Dora unfurled her wings and swooped down to rescue him. As she did, other summoners clung to her, and Jay managed to save a few more. Throughout the chaos, some of the summoners broke down, crying for help, while others adeptly avoided further traps. As the group made a dash for what they hoped was the exit, doubt crept in. They wondered whether this supposed way out was just another setup for a trap, revealing the treacherous and unpredictable nature of the Demon Furnace arena. The uncertainty loomed large as they approached the exit, wary of what might come next. However, with no other options left, Jay decided to kick down the door, and to their relief, they discovered that it indeed led to the lobby. As they entered, the boss, who introduced himself as Ryle, welcomed them for passing the first trial. Despite Ryle's welcoming demeanor, the summoners were put off by his appearance and impulsively tried to attack him. However, Ryle quickly demonstrated his power by unleashing a powerful energy that shackled them to heavy weights, rendering them completely incapacitated. With a snap of his fingers, Ryle made a treasure chest appear before their eyes, declaring it their reward for passing the first floor. As each summoner eagerly opened their chests, their fortunes varied. One man found his chest stuffed with gold. Jay discovered a saffron ring in his, and Meow was thrilled to find a rough diamond worth $1 million. However, Richard's luck brought him a pair of mismatched old boots. Dora urged Stan to open his box, hoping for something special. But to his dismay, it contained explosives. Just then, Ryle revealed that the explosives were indeed their real gift for surviving the floor and activated them. Jay quickly cast his holy shield, but the explosion was so powerful it destroyed the ground beneath them, causing them to fall into an abyss. As they descended, a strange girl appeared before them, startling them enough to nearly lose their composure. To their surprise, it was Bonnie, who revealed that her frightening entrance was just an act. The group, frustrated and stressed, yelled at her for the scare. Unfazed, Bonnie announced that she was the boss of the second floor, and the next trial was a race. Suddenly, they realized they were on a huge racetrack. Bonnie explained the rules. Only the first 15 contestants to complete 20 laps would qualify for the third floor. Additionally, she informed them that the entire race would be streamed on TV, adding another layer of pressure to the high-stakes challenge. As they prepared for the race, Mao confidently declared that she would definitely win, but Dora believed she had the upper hand. However, it quickly became evident that the repeat challengers, who came equipped with their own vehicles, would make winning no easy task. The race kicked off with Bonnie firing the starting gun. Meow immediately took the lead with her cheetah-like speed. As a squirrel ninja tried to overtake her, Meow realized he was also an animal summoner. Soon after, Dora and Jay joined the forefront, soaring towards the finish line. Meanwhile, a wizard zipped past on a witch's broom, closely followed by a poison master, with the rest of the racers struggling to keep up. Suddenly, Bonnie's attention was drawn to a famous manga artist, seemingly out of place and wasting his time in the race. When a couple of racers asked for his autograph, he quickly dismissed them and used his drawing skills to enhance his speed, streaking past the competitors. Another racer accused him of cheating, but Bonnie dismissively insulted the complainer. In a surprising turn, Stan rocketed past everyone on a military-stolen rocket, explaining his incredible speed. As the final lap approached, Jay warned the others that the repeat challengers were plotting to eliminate the competition to ensure they were the last standing. Just then, a racer named Deadeye took aim and fired his Calamity trigger, knocking several racers out of contention. As Deadeye prepared to target another racer, Dora tried to dodge his 6-shot Slayer, but the bullets curved towards her. Realizing they couldn't escape, they charged towards Deadeye, forcing him to absorb his own bullets. At that moment, the Poison Master unleashed a toxic mist, disorienting the racers and causing one to nearly fall into the abyss. Meow, in a desperate bid to save the racers, transformed into her venomous snake form and attacked the Poison Master, who remained unaffected and arrogantly declared himself the heir. Suddenly, the Squirrel Ninja appeared, unleashing a powerful tornado that began to absorb the Poison Master like dust, turning the tide of the chaotic race. Amidst the chaos of the race, another deranged competitor wielding swords began slashing at the other racers indiscriminately, aiming to cut them down as if they were mere cabbage. Two terrified racers pleaded for their lives, but the menacing swordsman deemed them better off dead and moved to strike. In a desperate attempt to save them, Stan steered his rocket towards the swordsman, but the attacker deftly sliced the rocket apart, causing it to crash. Just as the swordsman was about to deliver a fatal blow to Stan, the manga artist hero intervened, blocking the attack. He started reciting a lecture on life and friendship, which surprisingly morphed into powerful spells that hit the swordsman repeatedly. Capitalizing on this, the hero placed an electrifying spell on the assailant, who, in his agony, released his ink. Using this ink, the hero crafted a spell with an ink stroke slash that ultimately shattered the swordsman to pieces. The group sighed in relief, grateful to see Stan unharmed. At that moment, Bonnie announced that only 15 racers remained. She declared that they would all advance to the 3rd floor once they crossed the finish line. Meanwhile, at the Destroyer's base, Flame and Shadow engaged in a fierce duel to establish supremacy. As they clashed, Flame narrowly dodged Shadow's attacks, returning fire with bullets. Shadow, using her ability to merge with the ground, reappeared unpredictably, making the battle intense and evenly matched. Just as Shadow summoned clones to overwhelm Flame, the latter quickly annihilated them with rapid gunfire. Shadow attempted a sneak attack, but Flame continued her assault, forcing Shadow to retreat. In a dramatic escalation, Flame summoned several guns, firing them simultaneously. Shadow, undeterred, conjured a shield to block the onslaught. The spectacle caught the attention of Space, who shouted at them to cease their fight. As they stopped, Flame expressed her frustration and eagerness to storm the demon furnace. She voiced a fierce determination to eliminate all the competitors, specifically targeting Jay. However, Space revealed a recent attempt to penetrate the demon furnace shortly after they left the island. She explained that she couldn't even teleport inside before being chased away by the security measures, suggesting that the walls of the furnace must have had an invisible barrier. In a moment of mild frustration, Space mentioned that all she managed to acquire was a useless TV. With a snap of her fingers, the TV emerged from the ground. Turning it on, they saw Bonnie on the screen. Bonnie was providing highlights from the contest. The broadcast revealed that Meow won the race, placing first, with Sei closely behind in 2nd place. The 3rd floor featured a cooking contest, where Sei triumphed with his beef ramen, impressing even the judge who couldn't resist devouring his dish. Meanwhile, Meow managed to impress with her fruit-based dish, and Stan innovated by creating a robot that served ice cream. The 4th floor hosted a karaoke contest, where a Metal Rock Star's performance was so overpowering that it nearly knocked out the audience from the sheer noise. Flame, growing impatient with watching the proceedings, shot the TV in frustration and began to ponder how they could infiltrate the demon furnace. Just then, Heart arrived, and Dream suggested that the girls visit the island for a few days, claiming the air would be good for them. Agreeing, Heart unveiled a powerful monster, suggesting they take it along as their companion. Despite the formidable appearance of the beast, which frightened even the girls, Heart insisted it was his gift to Sei, ominously hinting that it was part of a plan to finally kill him and all his friends. Meanwhile, Bonnie continued her role in overseeing the contest. She met with the elders and reported that of the 92 contestants who had signed up for the trials, only 15 had managed to reach the 5th floor. Thanks to the contestants' use of their powers, Bonnie had been able to gather thousands of units of spiritual energy. Utilizing this energy, she teleported 100 floors down within the demon furnace, arriving at a door that led to the chained-up goddess Pandora, the source of energy for all the traps and challenges within the furnace. Pandora had been in slumber for a long time, and Bonnie, hoping to rouse her, injected all the gathered spiritual energy into her. That's it for today's video, and I will catch you in the next one. Comment guys part 2 if you want the next part.